All right.
I'm ready. Me and SpongeBob.
Let's see what we can do. All right.
Yeah.
Are we recording?
Yes.
I see light. I see red lights across the board.
Like, you don't know what any of those mean.
I don't.
There's like 5 red lights.
Yeah,
on.
I know. When I see all red lights, that means normally we're good. You know?
There's actually one more light. I don't know what that light does.
Oh, great. Now we're going to have an
Well,
explosion.
it's not on, but I don't know what it's for.
Yeah, I've
Maybe
never
it's-
seen that
maybe-
one on. Usually I
These
see
are
the
always
4.
on. These
I
are
know
like
that's
the
our
s-
mics.
And no. These are actually...
Oh, they're not. Oh, there you go. So I don't know what they are. I told you.
No, these are actually the sound effects you can use. So like an applause. I think it has maybe like a laugh track, maybe.
And you just haven't been putting
You
those
want me
in?
to try one? You're not. I don't know if you guys are gonna hear it.
We won't.
Oh, it's just funky music.
That's not what we want.
Wait, I'm
Laugh
sorry.
track. There's been at least like, in these million podcasts we've done, there's been at least like 12 times.
Oh, I have an
to use a laugh
applause.
track. Applause would be good.
Oh no, it has the what's that? The rim shot. The da-da-tsh. Yeah. I don't have a laugh track. You can program it. I don't know how,
I deserve a laugh track.
but that would be way too much work for me.
Absolutely.
So the audience, you get to enjoy all the sounds. You guys didn't. You don't
No.
even know what I heard.
I think you guys are making it all up right now. There's no sounds.
We'll see how those
The
come
sounds
out.
are a lie.
Anyway, welcome back to the Podcast Redeemed. We're marching our way through Judges.
Yep.
I hope you guys have had a fantastic week. I got to take a little bit of a vacation, so I was excited about that. Got to take the family to Great Wolf Lodge.
That sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
Turbo slide.
What?
Turbo slide.
Yeah.
The Howling Tornado was my favorite. That was
call it.
a really good one. I like that slide the best.
One of the body slides was a turbo slide at one point. I'm pretty sure.
Just feel like you're making things up.
Hey, when you're as fat as I am, they're all turbos.
Inertia.
Yeah, it moves, especially when you put the little kid in front of you. Oh, you moving?
Oh, I know.
You moving?
I used to be a little kid.
Yeah, it's like holy moly.
Wow, we're going fast.
Yeah. So anyway, we had a good time. But we're going to talk about old Mr. Gideon today, which is probably one of the more famous judges in
One of my
Judges.
favorites.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool things that go in with this historical record, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, let's just get right into it. So what we have here once again, we have the Israelites that did evil in the eyes of the Lord. And so God gives them into the hands of the Midianites. And once again, we get to that point where the Israelites once again turn to God and say, help us.
We've decided we would like help again.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's not going well again.
Yep.
For some reason, things didn't work this time, so
Yeah.
we would like help again.
Yep. And yet which is always interesting because they find themselves in this continuous cycle. You know, same thing. But this time God uses a man called Gideon, which is really, if you're reading this, and this is just my interpretation, okay, I don't see this anywhere in the Bible that says this.
Right.
But he's kind of a nobody.
Yep.
I mean,
Seems to be.
there's nothing really spectacular about
I
him.
think Gideon would agree.
Yeah. Gideon's on board with you. He's
Yeah.
like, no, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way he does things and the way he acts, he's just not someone you would think of courage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, for one, where does God find him? He's smashing.
He's threshing.
Yeah, but he's doing the wrong. But he's got. It's a threshing machine, but he's taking care of grapes. You know what I'm saying? So that the Midianites can't find out about
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying?
He's threshing wheat in a wine press. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Oh, threshing wheat and wine press.
Yeah.
Bad,
To
backwards.
keep
backwards.
it from the Midian.
But
Yes.
yes, same deal.
Yeah.
Doesn't want the Midianites to get the wheat.
Yes.
My bread.
And so, he's just not this standout person but once again, I think God does that because God wants the glory.
Correct.
If God were to choose this, and God has chosen those kind of leaders to do things before, but a lot of times in these situations, he uses somebody who will bring him glory. You know what I'm saying? So that when this takes place and they do take over the Midianites, there's going to be no doubt that God did it.
Correct.
And we'll just kind of walk it through and kind of look at some of the things. The first thing that I find interesting is this whole altercation between Gideon and God. So
Yeah.
God basically comes and tells him, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is what I need you to do. And instead of Gideon saying, absolutely, let's do it, he
No.
decides he needs to...
I'm going to need to see some proof. He literally asked for evidence.
You need to prove yourself here, God.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Yeah, and not just one time, but multiple times.
Yeah.
I say not one, not two.
Yeah,
It was
which I find interesting because, I mean, if I knew for sure that an angel had just come down and talked to me and said, hey, I want you to do this, I would probably be more... Well, and I say that because I do have the Bible in
I would
front
say
of me.
you have,
it's much easier to read it now.
And it's easy to, when you're not being told that, to be like, yeah, I would have done it.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
really it's like, I probably would have been like, nah, not me.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Although, right? He does understand that it is the Lord. He says, I'll be with you. There it is. If now I have found favor in your eyes, give me a sign that is really you talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
Please do not go away until I come back and bring my offering and set it before you.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Lord says, I will wait until you return. That was the first test. It's like, that would have been technically
Wait here.
good enough for Gideon because that's what he told God.
And basically, it was a meal.
Yeah.
He brought him a meal
Yeah.
with meat and bread. And then he touched it, the tip of the staff that was in his hand, and fire flared from the rock, consuming the meat and bread. So he didn't even eat it. That's a waste.
Again, looking for a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'd have been
It's
like, okay.
The angel
It's
of the
just
Lord
gone.
just touched the rock, fire, food gone.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, out of the rock.
He's like, that's cool, but
Which way did you want me to go again?
Yeah, exactly. And then when Gideon realized that it was the angel of the Lord, he then exclaimed, Alas, sovereign Lord, I have seen the angel face to face. But the Lord said to him, Peace, do not be afraid. I like that. He always says
Every time.
that. Yeah. Don't be afraid.
And you're not going to die.
Yep. Which is always good. Oh, thank goodness,
Yeah.
So he built an altar to the Lord, but he's not quite done yet. He wants a little more proof. You know what I'm saying?
You just got to be sure.
Now he did. Gideon did take 10 servants though, and did as the Lord told him to, because he was afraid of his family and the townspeople. Though he did it at night, and of course, what did the Lord ask him to do? It was to tear down the
Asherah pole.
Asherah pole and the altar to Baal.
That's what it was. Yes.
Yeah, it was the altar to Baal was the other one.
Yeah. The Asherah pole and the Baal. And he did that, but of course, and it just cracks me up too, because once again, I just see this as Gideon, once again, that courage just doesn't come out. So instead of just going and doing what the Lord said to do, he waited around till night and tried to be sneaky about it.
Just do it when the sun goes down.
Which I'm on board with that.
He's still doing it, just not doing it exactly like he's supposed to do.
Yeah. And I get what he was trying to do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I probably would have been like...
Yeah, well, he didn't do it very sneakily, because then they woke up the next morning and they're all trying to figure out who did this. And they carefully investigated. They were told Gideon, son of Joash, did it. I want to know how they came to that conclusion.
He left a calling card.
Yeah. Did they just swab for DNA real quick and then run it? It's just like, well, in that time, that probably means that somebody watched him go in there.
He wasn't as sneaky.
I like to think he left something really obvious that then they're like, well, that's Gideon's.
He just wrote it in the sand. Gideon was here.
Yeah. And tried to
So, yeah, just not as sneaky as he was.
Yeah, no.
And then I think it's pretty awesome, too, because then they come to his dad. And I like his response. Gideon's dad's response.
The people of the town tell his dad, bring out your son, he must die because he's broken down Baal's altar and cut down the Asherah pole beside it. But Joash replied to the hostile crowd, are you going to plead Baal's cause? Are you trying to save him? Whoever fights for him shall be put to death by morning. Bold. If Baal really is a god, he can defend himself when someone breaks down his altar. So, because Gideon broke down Baal's altar, they gave him the name Jerubbaal that day, saying, let Baal contend with him. It was pretty bold. But I also like it, though.
Yeah, I do too.
If this thing really is a god, why did it just get smoked in the middle of the night?
By my kid.
Yeah, by this wimp in
you
here.
don't see the little guy over there?
It would be interesting to know just what kind of stature he actually had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because there is a shift Because Gideon goes from being this kind of behind the scenes kind of person to he does become a leader.
Yeah.
And I mean, he definitely switches. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, he wasn't really left much of a choice.
Oh, yeah.
He tried really hard to get out of that.
He did. He did. So then we have so after all that, once again,
Still hasn't seen enough yet. He needs to be really sure.
Gideon said to God, "If you will save Israel by my hand, as you promised, look, I will place a wool piece on the threshing floor. If there is dew on the fleece and all the ground is dry, then I will know that you have saved Israel by my hand, as you said." And that is what happened. Gideon rose early the next day, He squeezed the fleece and wrung out the dew, a bowl full of water. So God not only...
The next part is my favorite part of this story.
Yeah. Then Gideon said to God, "Do not be angry with me. Let me just make one more request. Just one more, Lord. Just one more request. Because the food and this one wasn't enough. Yeah. I need one more." And he said, "This time let the ground be covered in dew and the fleece be dry." That night God did so. Only the fleece was dry and all the ground was covered in dew.
You think he convinced himself? He's like, that could have just happened.
Right.
Like, that could have not been God.
He was breaking down the science. He was like, well, the dew could have been attracted to the fleece, but not the ground.
It could have sucked up all the water from the ground. Yeah. And God's like, what are we doing?
And God is really patient with us. You know what I'm saying? Because he did each of the things that Gideon asked, just to solidify it in Gideon's mind that the Lord was behind him. Which Gideon probably needed that extra boost of confidence.
He clearly did.
Yeah.
Because of the next step he's going to have to take. I wouldn't recommend doing it Gideon's way. I mean, there are verses in there that says, do not put the Lord your God to the test.
Correct.
I understand Gideon. I would want to be doubly sure that this is what the Lord was asking me to do, because this is not something you'd want to make a mistake on.
Well, yeah, the Lord is asking you to do what the Lord is asking you to do. It's like, well, surely he's right. Then you go out there and get smoked.
Yeah. And then you're not only leading yourself to your own death, but you're going to lead a whole bunch of men to
countless others
to their deaths too.
Yep.
So, I mean, I understand why he's being cautious. And then there's a lesson there too. We also need to be cautious to make sure that we are doing exactly what it is the Lord wants us to do. Now, I do think that there's a lesson here to be made too, that have a little courage. If the Lord says, "Hey, I want you to do this," let's do it.
Jump
you know
on
what
it.
I'm saying? Let's not try to just
keep testing until the event is past.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
man.
Oh, we missed it.
Next time.
But like I said, there's going to be a shift in Gideon. Gideon's going to go from this timid person to a very, very much a leader, and he's going to make calls, and he's going to be leading, and he's going to do what he needs to do. So, God a lot of times can see things in us that we don't see in ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Every time.
So, I mean, God may be calling you to do something. You're like, well, I can't do that. And it's like, well, that's not necessarily true. God knows, and he's given you that task. You know what I'm saying? And so you have the abilities to accomplish that task that he's given you. We just need to step out and do it. You know what I'm saying?
God's not calling the wrong number.
No, absolutely not. So there's just a lot of good things here that we can learn from Gideon. We are going to break this up into two.
Yes.
And we'll look at the second part here in the next podcast. But we kind of set the groundwork for what's going on. We have Gideon, someone God's going to use to do a pretty big thing here. And
he's finally on board.
Yeah, he's finally on board.
Took a whole chapter, but he's in.
Yep.
I'm with you, God. Let's go do it.
Yep.
For real this time.
He's like, no, I'm pumped.
Exactly. So,
no, cool.
So, like I said, this is definitely one of those historical records that I really do enjoy. Yes, way more than some of the other judges in here, because I can relate to Gideon. You know what I'm saying? I really can see why he does what he does. I can understand where he's coming from. And, there's just times like, Lord, let me be a little more proactive.
Are
you know
you
what I'm
sure?
saying?
Yep. It's like, well, really? And I can't relate to the other guy because I'm not left-handed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's all you got from Ehud?
No, it's just my favorite part of the story.
Okay.
That they
That he was
really
left-handed.
focused on left-handed.
Which is
Yeah.
funny because that's my favorite part of the story too. Was absolutely
No.
that he was left-handed.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
anyway,
okay.
It's just very funny.
it is.
Go back and watch that episode. Learn about the left-handed judge.
Yeah, he got the job done.
He did.
With his left hand.
His left
He was
hand.
the first Assassin's Creed.
He was. Yeah, he only killed fat guys. Yeah, over the sickness, huh?
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to see you next time. Bye.